Hello guys! In this video I'm going to be talking about a problem that is known in some circles as the staircase problem. And the version of the problem that I'm using, I got it directly out of this book, Cracking the Coding Interview, which is if you're familiar with tech interviewing, it's a popular resource to prepare for these interviews. And so the question is, this is the 5th edition of the book, and it's question 9.1 in chapter 9. And it is, a child is running up a staircase with n steps and can hop either 1 step, 2 steps, or 3 steps at a time. Implement a method to count how many possible ways the child can run up the stairs. I actually had a version of this question. It was in one of my very first ever tech interviews, which I really was not prepared for. And then I got this problem, and the person made up, the interviewer, he made up a problem, and he was like, oh, we have bagels brought in for breakfast sometimes. Imagine that you can eat the bagels. You can either eat 1 bagel, 2 bagels, or 3 bagels. Write out at a time, write out all the combinations of ways that you can eat all of the bagels. And I think that was how he worded the problem. So I think it was a version of this staircase problem. But at the time when I was asked it, I was just like, what? Like, because I'm thinking, like, I'm not going to eat all, like, it doesn't make sense. Like, a person, I'm not going to gobble up all the bagels or whatever. So, I'm just thinking about that, and then I just totally look totally clueless, whatever. But anyway, so that was an experience. But now I know, I'm familiar with the problem, and um, yeah, so it's actually pretty interesting, and that is what we're going to be answering today. So I just want to review the Fibonacci sequence because this problem is very similar. The Fibonacci sequence, if you're familiar, is where you have a sequence of length n, and the value at each step in the sequence is computed by adding up the numbers of the 2 previous steps in the sequence, so n minus 1 and n minus 2. In the Fibonacci sequence, you also have a sequence of length n, and we'll add up the values at the 3 previous steps in the sequence, so n minus 1 plus n minus 2 plus n minus 3, and that is essentially the recursive solution to this staircase problem, which we will see in a second. I've included the recursive and the iterative solutions to this problem here. In the iterative version, how many ways iterative, it takes the number of steps, and you still have your base cases. If steps is less than 0, you return 0. If the number of steps is equal to 0, return 1. That's the value of the first step in the Fibonacci sequence. Then if steps is equal to 1 or 2, where steps is greater than 0 or less than 3, just return the number of steps. For steps is greater than 3, we initialize x, y, and z to the first, second, and third values in the sequence. And then we iterate through the rest of the sequence from step 3 to the end of the number of steps. We have a as a temporary variable used to hold x plus y plus z, also known as the values of steps minus 3 plus steps minus 2 plus steps minus 1. And then we update the values of x and y, and set z equal to a, because that's the next number in the sequence. Then we return the final z value, which is the end of the sequence. So thanks so much for watching this video. That was the staircase problem. And as always, the code for this will be on my GitHub. And I will be back very soon with more interview questions. Bye bye.